Hitler was no more a socialist than Trump. National Socialism equals anti-socialism. If you were in Nazi Germany and called Hitler a socialist, they'd arrest you and put you in a concentration camp where they put all the socialists. In 1926, old Adolf Hitler said, "We shall protect private enterprise as the expedient, or rather the sole possible economic order." And later he said, "We do not intend to abolish the inequality of man." Mussolini, the man who gave fascism its name, said in 1919, "We detest all Christianity, from Jesus to Marx." And he later said, "Fascism now throws the noxious theories of liberalism upon the rubbish heap." All fascism, even the fascism that came before Mussolini, the monarchies, aristocracies, and industrial capitalism of Dickensian Britain and the American Gilded Age, were anti-socialist, and they openly said so. So seriously, where did this rewriting of history come from? When did calling Hitler a socialist start? Calling Hitler, the Nazis, and fascist socialist is a completely new scam. Nowhere in history is this written. At no time in my life have I heard such craziness. Only during the last few years here on YouTube have I ever heard such nonsense. Hey, anyone, where did you first hear the lie that Hitler was a socialist? Someone's putting a hell of a lot of effort into rewriting history. This lie is obviously being fire-hosed by some fascist to distance fascism from its own true history. This is nothing but an obvious attempt to misrepresent fascism and demonize socialism. Whoever is spreading this lie online, we need to shut that lying a-hole down. Man, I really hate liars. If you're a liar, then you're a fascist. And I've been dealing with these fascists my whole life, and I'm just sick of them. If you can't defend something with the truth, then maybe you shouldn't be defending it. Fraud isn't something on which you should want to base your life's work. Although you can find much truth on the internet, it has also become just a means to spread lies and misinformation more quickly. Some fascists have denounced Hitler but retain all the principles of fascism: the authoritarianism, elitism, capitalism, nationalism, militarism, and scapegoatism. Other fascists have denounced the very word fascism, yet retain all the same principles of fascism. It's getting practically impossible to distinguish fact from fantasy. The elite, the oligarchs, are responsible for most of these scams. They're misrepresenting reality at an incredible pace. The internet has even created new words to refer to this: fire hosing, astroturfing, and gaslighting. The fascists even absconded with the word libertarian and stolen the phrase right to life, which were both originally anti-fascist words and expressions. Trump just recently stole Clinton's 2016 campaign slogan. "Stronger Together" was actually Clinton's presidential campaign theme. But now Trump is using this phrase. Clinton is no socialist. She's a neoliberal, capitalist, and elitist. But the point is clear. Fascists hold no qualms about stooping so low as to even steal from each other. But a fascist who doesn't call himself fascist doesn't mean he isn't one. And calling yourself a socialist doesn't make you one. These words have real definitions and characteristics. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Mussolini, and Hitler never called themselves socialists, and they weren't. But Stalin, the Soviets, and Mao Zedong and the Red Chinese did call themselves socialists, but they weren't. They weren't because they didn't fit the definition, possess the characteristics, or pursue the intent of socialism. And that intent is a democratic, equal, classless, libertarian, anti-authoritarian society. One overriding indication that a society isn't socialist is if there's an elite, an oligarchy, a social hierarchy then it's not socialist. But here's where fascists probably base these false claims. Since Hitler and Stalin were so similar in character, both brutal and paranoid dictators, and Stalin called himself a socialist, then that would make Hitler one too. But in reality, the opposite is true. Their mutually brutal dictatorships and personality cults made them both fascist, because that's among the definitions of fascism. Another misconception comes from the word socialist being used in Hitler's National Socialist Party. I've read many different reasons for the Nazis' use of that word, too many to go into here. But again, the Nazis' rhetoric, intent, and actions were all clearly anti-socialist. The word national, referring to nationalism, a fascist characteristic I already mentioned, takes clear precedent over the word socialist in the National Socialist German Workers' Party name. One thing's for certain, historians place Hitler firmly in the realm of fascism, alongside his buddy Mussolini. The only reason the elite misrepresent socialism is because they fear it so much. They know if people really knew what it was, the vast majority would not only support it, but demand it. So since they can't denounce it based on the truth, they must lie about it. They lie about it because they want us to fear what will free us from them. Remember, actual socialism has nothing to do with big government or government authoritarianism. But even socialistic programs that are intent on protecting the environment, labor, and the poor are better than unfettered, laissez-faire capitalism that only protects the profits, wealth, and power of the elite. And these programs can lead to real socialism where such programs are no longer needed to protect us from predonomics. So keeping that in mind, as of now, generally speaking, the only thing we can be sure of is when the elite denounce something, that should be a definitive signal to the rest of us that that's something that should unite us and we should support and demand it. Resist, refuse, revolt.